Today we're going to look at extending what we've already done. So we've already looked at how to take a monomial and then multiply it by a polynomial, right? So we have to distribute in order to do that. So let's just quick review: 3x times 5x, 15x squared, and then of course, right, we keep that sign, so it'll be subtraction, and we do 3x times 2, 6x. So then the next step becomes taking polynomials and multiplying them with each other. It's going to be one step up, but the process remains basically the same. We are still going to distribute, but we're going to distribute multiple times. So we'll take the first term in the first polynomial and we'll multiply it by each of the terms in the second polynomial. Then we're going to take the second term in the first polynomial and multiply it by each of the terms in the second polynomial. The general idea doesn't change, it just is extended into more steps. So when we multiply this out, we're going to have 2x times 6x, 6x squared. And then we're going to do 2x times 3, 6x. Actually, the first one's going to be 12x squared. But just testing you to make sure that you were watching me. Okay, now the second step, right, is to take that second term of the first, that 5, and then go ahead and distribute. So we're going to have a positive 5 times a positive 6, 30x, and then we're going to have a positive 5 times a positive 3, 15. So that's the first step. Once we have all the terms multiplied, we have to simplify. So we're going to find the highest exponents first, so it's just the x squared. We have the 12x squared. And then we're going to find all x's. Now we have multiple of those, so we're going to put those together. We have 36x, and then we have just the constant left. And now we check to make sure that it is in standard form. So from highest exponent down to lowest exponent, that's good, check, and we're good to go. So the process remains the same, but there's a couple things to watch out for. The first are negative signs. So we have this negative sign here, and one here, one here. Again, my eternal suggestion, which many of you will ignore, but that's okay, is to turn all subtracting into adding the opposite. Now this is already negative, there's no subtracting there, so we're good. And then plus negative 8. We really have to pay attention to those negative signs. It's just going to be a detail that we have to catch. So we'll go ahead and do the first set, right? The 2x we're going to distribute to the negative 5x. So we have negative 10x squared because it's a negative 5x. Now we're going to do the second one, right? 2x times a negative 8. So it will be plus a negative 16x. We're going to take that second term, the negative 4, distribute that times a negative 5x, and that's going to be positive 20x because it's a negative and a negative. And then we also have another negative and a negative, so it's negative 4 and negative 8, which is plus 32. You can see that this time I set it up so that I'm stacking it up vertically. So again, it doesn't matter whether you do it horizontally or vertically when you add, just go with whatever feels comfortable. The negative 10x squared is by itself, just remains negative 10x squared. We have a negative 16x and a positive 20x, and we have a positive 32. The other thing to watch out for is that the larger the polynomials get, so we have a 3-term trinomial there, the larger they get, the more terms you're going to have, the more terms you have, the more details you have to keep track of, and the more likely you are to make a mistake. But the process remains exactly the same, no difference. First term to each of them. 6x. Now, x is really x to the first, so x times x squared is x cubed. To the second one, negative 10x squared. We'll do the third one, positive 14x. Now we'll take the second term and we're going to multiply it by each of them. Again, this is a plus negative, so we're going to have a negative there. We'll make this one a plus negative 2. Negative 9x squared. Now this is a good time to line it up with the other x squared. So we have negative 9x squared. A negative times a negative is a positive 15x. And then a negative times a positive is a negative 21. We're going to add these two. So we have 6x cubed. A negative plus a negative would be a negative 19x squared. Positive 29x and negative 21. Okay, so practice problems for today. We've got 3 of them. Again, please pay attention to the details. The more details that are added in, the more likely you are to make a small mistake. Go ahead, try these, pause it, come back, and we'll take a look at them. The first one, we have a binomial times a binomial. We'll go ahead and distribute. We have 10x. Now, x times x squared, x is x to the first. We'll add those exponents, 10x cubed. And we'll do the second one. 2x times 3x is 6x squared. Shift to the second term of the first binomial. Negative 4 times 5x squared will be negative 20x squared. We'll have negative 4 times 3x, and we get negative 12. Now it's time to put together what we can. Right? We can't do anything with the x cubed other than just simply have it 10x cubed. These two will go together, negative 14x squared, and then we have minus 12. Okay, next problem. We're going to take a look at this, a binomial times a trinomial. So automatically we're going to have a few more terms here. Now the other thing that we're going to notice is that this is not in standard form. So we have a choice. We can either put it into standard form now, or we can just multiply and then put it in standard form later. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in the standard form later. So I'll do all the multiplication first. 7x squared. Now we have an x times an x squared, which will be 28x cubed. Last one, 7x times negative 8 is negative 56x. This is when I'm going to start putting it into standard form. So I definitely want to be thinking about making sure that the cubed is at the top. So I'm going to rewrite it over here just so I can have it in the standard form. And because I'm going to go vertically, I'm just going to leave a space at the end. Okay, next term, we'll take the negative 1. We'll turn this into plus negative 1. And we'll go ahead and multiply. So negative 1 times x will be negative 1x. So as I write this, I'm just going to line it up under where I need to go. So it's going to go under the negative 56x. Now the next one is going to be negative 1 times 4x squared. It'll be negative 4x squared. I'm going to line that up so I don't have to reline it up later. And the last one is a negative 1 times a negative 8. So that's going to be a positive 8. I now have everything lined up. I can do my addition. I have 28x cubed, a positive 7, and a negative 4 will be positive 3x squared minus 57x plus 8. Okay, last problem is a trinomial times a trinomial. This will have the most terms. Let's start with the most terms. So when we start with multiplication, 2x times x squared, 2 times 1, right? The coefficient of x squared is 1, so it's 2 times 1. 2, x squared times x squared is x to the 4th. 2x squared times negative 9x squared, negative 18x cubed. Last but not least, 2x squared plus times 3 is 6x squared. Take the next term, it's a negative 4x. We'll do the multiplication, negative 4x times a negative 9x, right? Because you have the negative and the negative, that's going to be the positive. And it's going to be squared. Actually, what we really want to do is we want to do this first, right? So the negative 4 times the negative 1, or positive 1x squared. So that's going to be negative 4x cubed. You can see how the details get added in. It gets just a little bit more complex to keep track of, so you really have to pay attention. Now we have the negative 4 times the negative 9, and that's going to be the positive 36x squared. Last but not least, a negative 4x and a positive 3 is going to be 12x. Keep going. Third term. 5 times x squared will be 5x squared. 5 times the negative 9x is negative 45x. And 5 times the 3 is 15. Now that we've done every term times itself, right, now we can add them up. If you want to do it horizontally, that's fine. I'm going to do it vertically. The x to the 4th matches up with only itself. And we have two terms with an x cubed. So that's negative 22x cubed. We have three terms with the x squared. 6 plus 36 is 42, plus the 5 is 47, x squared. And then we have a positive and a negative. The negative is bigger, so it's going to be minus. And if we subtract them, we get 33x, and then just the 15. So if you don't have everyone exactly the same, make sure that you're going through and looking at the details, right? Back it up. See if you've missed one specific term, or perhaps a specific sign, and that one little detail could throw off everything else.